Welcome back to the Heart, Mind, Money podcast. We're so happy that you're here, and we hope that you're enjoying this podcast all about healing your heart, challenging your mind, and
filling your pockets
with Perla Tamez Casasnovas, who is the founder of Latina Empire and this method of heart, mind, and money, and me, the extractor of her magic, Giselle Mascareñas. We love doing this because we get a ton of questions about this movement that Perla has created, the purpose behind it, and you're an open book. Like, you want to share all the things. You want everybody to have success, love, purpose, freedom. And it's super possible because it's really within us. And the topic that I really want to dive into right now is something that we're working really, really hard on, because you pinpointed even before we went to the UN, because we went to the UN this last December. Mm-hmm. It was, you got personally invited. So to go to the UN, you have to be personally invited. And when you get personally invited, it's like you are invited. You don't get guests. But Perla was not only invited, but Perla was like, but I have to take my socias. I have to take my people. And then they're like, sure, okay, well, how many? I think, how many people did you?
We were a total of 10 people.
I think she took a good amount of people. It was really amazing. But with that said, it was really important. What was the topic at the UN? Share a little bit about what happened at the UN.
So a lot of the situation going on around the country and the globe is the fact that people don't feel a sense of belonging for the job that they perform for a company. And they don't feel a sense of belonging. There are situations out there called imposter syndrome, and all that is supported by resources that companies are providing within their diversity, equity, and inclusion departments, right? However, the issues of corporate America is we've been throwing so much money, so much trainings for diversity, equity, and inclusion, yet Latinos are going to be the largest leading community by 2060. We are going to be a third of the population of the United States of America. And we are not pacing on that trend to be represented at state, local, federal governments, and nonetheless in companies, in the C-suites and in companies' boards, right? So where's the problem? And so I believe 100% wholeheartedly that the problem is the lack of confidence in our Latino community, right? And so within themselves. And those are caused by generational traumas, limiting beliefs that have been instilled in us from our generation, the previous generations, telling us, hey, if you already got to the US, you've made it. Yeah. You don't need more. Hey, if you've become super successful, keep it to yourself. Because others are still struggling to get through the ropes. Hey, if you're going to go on a trip, don't share, because then others are going to be envious. Like, all of these things are things that keep you small, but these were the stories of our ancestors. Yeah. These were the stories of troubles that they went through 30, 40, 50, 60 years forward.
To keep quiet.
And now, 30, 40, 60 years forward, their story does not resemble our story, right? So I remember, I'm firstborn generation American and educated. My parents did not complete a college education, but they did complete high school, and they were immigrants, and then they became small business owners. My mom had a little shoe store, and from there, going up the chains, working hard, dedication, responsibility, discipline, and always knowing where you come from, right? I've always been told to keep a humble heart. And not only been told, that's what I've seen, right? But I remember when I had large aspirations in life, since I was very, very young, I loved brands, right? And so when I would wear Versace pants, Dolce & Gabbana pants, and I was 13, 14 years old, people would look at me like, ay, eres una chiflada. ¿Por qué haces que tu papá y tu mamá te compren pantalones de $200 y $300? And I was like, the reason it's because these pants are going to last me like 10 years. And if I buy a pant that is, $50, it's going to tear. And so that was my kind of like excuse, right, of the situation. But the focal point of what I'm saying is others around me didn't agree with,
they felt uncomfortable
having
with it.
the ability that I was being able to purchase more expensive brands. At 15, I had my first Louis Vuitton bag. I had my Louis Vuitton backpack, and I would go to high school with my Louis Vuitton backpack. I was just cool. But since I've always been very humble and I've always made lots of friends, right? People never used that against me. Never. I had a very good high-end car, and I never recall, and people that hear this and people that know me way since, elementary, junior high school are going to be able to attest for this. I've never been talked about like, ay, Perla se cree mucho y no voltea a ver a nadie. And it's not a thing with me because I could have all of that and more, but it's always about my heart. I've always been kind. I've always been a helping hand. And so in corporate America, the stories are stay quiet. Let's mirror the American kind of culture, the white culture. Be very proper, be very etiquette. If you have super long blonde hair, you need to cut it, you need to soften it. You like
wear it in a bun.
You wear it in a bun, slick your hair, no long nails, wear the short heels, and that's okay. But that's not the Latinos.
No.
We're loud, we're beautiful, we're loving, we're huggers, we're kissers.
We cry.
We're bold, we're super emotional. And so corporate America needs to understand the gap, to close the gap for DE and I.
They have Latinos to rise up.
For the Latinos to rise up, they need to close the gap on the social emotional. We need to go heal people's heart to be able to challenge your mind. And once we go and we understand the story of, I'm Hispanic, I'm first or second generation born American, I want to be a multimillionaire, I want to be super successful, success to the eye of the beholder, I'm gonna own it, no matter if my grandma still lives, in a very small town in Mexico and maybe doesn't have floors. Where my grandparents live in Mexico, we still don't have streets. And it's okay, I'm not embarrassed, but not because of that, I'm not gonna go and want to stay at the Burj Al Arab in Dubai. Why not? Right?
Yeah.
You have to be able to embrace that. And how cool. Everybody come along. Look at the pictures of this hotel, primos. Y'all need to go and stay there too.
Yeah.
So
and the fact that they can see you do it means they can too.
And don't use it to like break barriers, but then be ashamed so then you don't share it with nobody. No. Use it to break barriers, be proud, and bring others up the ropes with you, because our story today is not what your grandparents or parents' story used to be 30, 40, 50 years ago. It's changed.
Yeah.
The narrative has changed. But unfortunately, the limiting beliefs are in there because they've been ingrained in there since we were 6 to 12 years old.
Where are they stuck, P? Like in corporate America, like Latinos, they see all the opportunities. They see the resources available to them with all these DE&I movements. What is happening? What is the Latino or Latina doing? They see it. It's there. What's happening inside them?
Yeah, they don't feel they deserve it.
They don't feel worthy.
They don't feel worthy of. They have been neglected or abandoned, or they have felt injustice previously in their life, maybe when they were kids. And so now as adults, they have lack of confidence, lack of trust, lack of support, lack of communication.
They see it and they're thinking, that's not for me.
They see it,
that's
but
for
they're like,
else.
I don't think that should happen. And that's happened to me many times. But usually I have the good P talking to the bad P, Perla, and telling like, hey, you deserve it. You've worked very, very hard to get to where you're at. Why not? Right? But for example, when I was 24, we bought our first Lamborghini, and in 2 years put only 1,000 miles in the vehicle because I was embarrassed to drive it.
You were ashamed to drive it.
Because I was like, what are people gonna say? Like, ay, se cree mucho. Ay, tiene un Lamborghini.
Why did you buy it? Like
because it was my goal, it was my aspiration. I've always liked.
You did it because you were like, this is gonna be a check mark.
Italian, European cars.
Yeah,
that's German cars. That's my thing.
But then you got it,
cars.
And you just would look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, because then I was embarrassed. And so it's a lot of like inner emotional conflicts. Like one of my girls taking the clarity course was saying, my husband got me a Louis Vuitton for Christmas and I haven't worn it because like I think I should just wear it for special occasions, but I haven't had one. I said, it's not gonna happen. Like, you need to wear it every day and be proud. Your husband worked hard for that. And why not?
And he wants to spoil you.
He was like, yeah, but like I'll wear my other bags for now, but that one's like very fancy. And I said, own it, wear it. Why not?
Yeah.
And success is basically to the eye of the beholder. If you don't like expensive things, that's fine. What do you like to do? You like to support a dog shelter like our girl yesterday.
Yeah.
You want to travel and go and ride a kayak. Okay, you want to go and you want to do a skydiving. Okay, it doesn't have to be related to luxury, but do the goals that are gonna make you happy and you complete.
I love that. And in the next episode, so we'll go in deep about what it means to heal your heart, because it's a process, you guys, but it's a process that's necessary. The more that we're doing it with the students that you have, like we're seeing how they're so successful, they're so empowered with some things, but when it comes to elevating where they're at or sharing it, or they're stuck with certain things, and it's like, or they're like, it's like, wait, I can't tackle that right now. Like that's too deep. It's too hurtful, because it does take some pain to go in there. But the freedom on the other side of that, it just opens you up for all possibilities in life.
Unlimited success, and success is to the eye of the beholder. You set the tone, you set the pace, and you place your eye on the goal.
The one thing I want everyone to take away from this conversation is that there are resources already out for everybody. One of the resources that you can grab right now is going and doing the Clarity of Intensive. That's going to be cohort 2, opens up in April, and you should grab it. It's very intense. It's super impactful, and it's transformational. And the thing is that we need it. I know it's changed my life, and I was on the side with you creating it, and it's literally just kind of like giving me this new perspective of like how I didn't know about things that were limiting me, because
But you had them in there.
But they were there. Like, and now when you're cleaning them up and you're like when you can identify them, you can release them. If you can't identify them,
you can't release
you will
them.
Continue to do the cycle
because you don't know
over
better
and over again.
Yeah.
And this is the crazy thing. We all have them.
Always, all have them. No matter what culture, what background, what situation you came from. Just super quick note. I thought I had the perfect dad, perfect childhood. And when I went in to do one of these exercises 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, no, I have nothing to talk to my dad about. He is perfect. He was a perfect dad. And then after, my coach was like, Perla, close your eyes. We're going to meditate, go deep in, dive, dig. I found out that my dad had never told me I love you. And me, machos, Mexicanos, they're all my dad and their siblings, they're super dry like that. I understand them. That's the way we grew up. That's what I'm pretending to understand. But deep inside of me, when I did that meditation, I wanted a hug and love from my dad. So you might think one way, but when you go into the Pandora box and you dig, everything that's in there, you will realize like, things that you really, really needed, or now seeing the reality of things.
So what happened after you identified that? What'd you do?
I wrote him a letter, and my dad's like, ay, Perlucho, pues no sabía que necesitabas que te dijera que te quería, mijita, pues yo te quiero. Y yo, ajá, pero no me enseñaste, no me decías. Y no
what a beautiful moment,
y yo no sentía que me protegías. Y entonces, ¿qué crees que hice? Me encontré un hombre en mi primer matrimonio muy parecido a ti, pero que era igual. No era un hombre empático. He wasn't.
So you met someone who was just like your dad.
Somebody that was just the same mirror of my dad, that I didn't feel had my back at all times. He didn't know how to love me the way I wanted to be loved, but because I would take it because, that's the culture, that's the way they are, I never communicated to him what I wanted.
But on the other side of that, once you identified it, is now do you all tell each other you love each other?
Oh, yeah. Now we hug all the time.
You hug all the time.
Yeah, we
and
hug
he says,
and we kiss. Te quiero, Perlucho. Like in his dry way, but he tells me.
Because he's like, mi hijita lo necesita.
Yes,
like she needs it, I'm going to tell her.
Of course.
Which is another good note. People don't know what they don't know until they know. and then they have the power to make the changes.
Yes.
Like, we're all walking around sometimes pissed off about things that the other person is
no
clueless.
Yeah.
Clueless.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up. And thanks everybody for listening to this podcast. We are so excited to do this for you because at the end of the day, it is super important for you to know that the control is within you to heal your heart, challenge your mind,
and fill your pockets. Thank you to all my manas, my amigas everywhere that send me messages, that send me cute voice notes, type messages, verbal messages, screenshots that they're watching the podcast, because all those feedbacks that you all let us know, those are winks of God that we're doing this for a good purpose, because we're breaking barriers with this theory. We are breaking so many layers of generational traumas that have been instilled with Latinos that are first, second, third generation in whatever country you are. Because if you're a second, first generation, third generation, it's because you've immigrated from one country to another. And so thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. And always know that I do this because my purpose in life is to ignite acts of service, but I can't do that. I found out I couldn't do that until I serve as a bridge to heal hearts. And so based on my stories of success, failure, success, and raw stuff, aquí no andamos con fregaderas.
And you're going to get them all here.
And I'm just real and raw as could be. And I love to share because sharing is caring. And that just gives me more power to keep on living and keep on sharing and having more and more abundance in my life, that the overflow is for everybody else. So, las amo, quiéranse mucho y ámense ustedes primero, porque nadie te va a amar más que tú, pero tú misma.
Thanks, P.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to Heart, Mind, and Money podcast with Perla, the awesome Perla.
Thank you.
Yes, I want everybody to look into the latinaempire.com, look more into what this whole mission is. Also, on all our social medias is at the Latina Empire, And to connect with Perla, who answers every single comment, message, will send you a voice message, will ask you to send her your WhatsApp. She will answer anything, any problem, any advice. I mean, you're pretty remarkable at that. And you can find Perla on Instagram at Reflexiona
con Perla.
Reflexiona con Perla. But we are all across social media, and Perla is always, every single day, pouring into you through all social platforms at the Latina Empire. And we also have our community at the Mana Lounge that you can find more information at any of the links on any of our social medias. And we would love to have you as one of our manas.
We've got to keep learning.
We got to keep learning. We got to keep healing our heart.
Healing your heart.
Challenging our minds.
Challenge your mind to fill your pockets.
To fill your pockets. Thank you guys for having us.